So let's talk about the importance of breasts, breast weight, how often women are wearing the wrong bras, etc.
Okay. So to be honest, that lead in that we've just had about women getting smaller as they get older is a good kind of starting point for that, because the fact that women do succumb to gravity more than men do in the vast majority of cases is in part because of our breast weight. So if we know how to manage our breast weight by strengthening the muscles in our back, then that's a good starting point for being able to manage it so that it is not so susceptible to gravity. So the consequences of allowing gravity basically to do whatever gravity is going to do, because the breasts have no muscular support at the front, none whatsoever. So I must increase my bust. That actually came from a book that was written in 1970 by an author called Jodie Bloom, and it's
sure, I remember. Are you there? God, it's me, Margaret.
It's me, Margaret. So
I remember her dying
book.
To get her period.
Yeah. That's the book, and that's where that came from. And Jodie has spent her whole life being interviewed, being asked by people, is it true? Is it scientifically true? And she's like, no, I made it up. So what you'll get is lovely pecs because you're doing pec exercises, but the breast lies on top of the pecs. So it is not integrated within it in the sense of there being any muscular control. So all of the muscular support for our breasts comes indirectly through our torso position. And that's where posture comes in.
Jesus, I'm straightening up as you're speaking.
So posture is a vehicle for the impact, yeah? And if we are aware of that, then we can look to maintain a posture that is going to create that alignment that gravity has to work harder to grab us, and therefore it's less likely to pull us forward. When we look at the impact of breast weight, it's kind of nicely summarised, she says, in six or seven different sections.
Before you start, can I just ask you, is this only for large-breasted women?
No. Any weight is a weight.
Okay.
So for example, most women are not aware of how heavy their breasts are. So when you actually take hold of some prosthetics that have the weight that somebody's breast would be.
Can I feel yours and see if I can guess?
Of course you can feel mine. But they don't feel, when you hold them in your hands, they feel much heavier than what they actually are here. So if I do that and I lean forward, I don't feel like there's much breast weight there, but I'm a kilogram on each side.
What?
So I'm carrying a Jack Russell. Yeah.
A Jack Russell?
Carrying a Jack Russell on my chest all day. And women very often will say, now that they know what I do, they'll be like, oh, that doesn't matter for me, I'm only small.
So that's what I said to you?
Yeah, that is what she said to me. And that's why I said, only small is still a weight. So if you're 500 grams on each side, you're carrying a kilogram. That's a squirrel. Depends on the size of the squirrel, obviously. But
I like the way you're relating these to little animals.
Yeah. So it makes sense for people when you think of it that way. And actually, I said this to somebody at a presentation recently, and somebody came up to me afterwards and said, I have a Cavalier, Charles, I can't remember the name of that dog, but the dog was poorly and she was carrying the dog around for hours, and she said she was exhausted. So she was sitting in the audience listening to me, and she was like, that's how I felt carrying the dog around.
Okay.
So it's the same equivalent, but we carry it without realising the load because we've grown with them, or they've grown with us.
Yeah.
So there is a level of weight distribution. So that kilogram for me on each side is spread over my chest wall. So that's why it doesn't feel so heavy when I just kind of drop and let gravity take me. It doesn't feel like a kilogram, but it is a kilogram. And so our body is having to deal with that and having to resist that forward force. So any weight is a weight. So yes, it affects everybody. And the likes of smaller breasted women, their breast weight, if it is poorly supported, it's still going to move. And breast weight moves, we now know breasts move in 3 planes. So everybody thought, if anybody thought about it previously, it was always just vertical because that's what you see. That's what everybody looked at with Pamela Anderson running down the road the beach in Baywatch. It's up and down.
Yeah.
She had implants, so she wasn't moving very much, which is kind of ironic. The breast actually moves in 3 planes. So vertically, side to side, and anterior, posterior, in and out.
In and out.
So it's a figure of 8.
Right.
So when we are supporting our breast weight, we don't want to support just the vertical component. We want to support from the sides and from the front. So you're looking at projection, you're looking at uplift, and you're looking at side support. So in the likes of a bra, we need to get all of those factors considered. But when to come back to the actual movement side of things, small breasts move.
Oh, yeah.
They move. They might not move as much in terms of the numbers as larger breasts, but they're still moving and they're still a mass. And when you run, your breast weight is 8 times the amount of the actual. So when I go for a run, I have a mass of 16 kilograms on the front of my chest that I have to bear when I go running.
That's because of gravity and force, is it?
Well, just force and movement and withstanding all of those forces. So 16 kilograms, if you go to the gym and pick up 16 kilograms, it's hard work. But we just do it. We just get on with it, and we don't realise that those are the forces that we're dealing with. The acceleration of the breast is greater than a Formula 1 driver receives in a car.
Sorry, now explain that to me. What do you mean by that?
So when breasts move, you accelerate, then you stop, then you decelerate. So you've got acceleration, stasis.
Oh, is this the bouncing up and down?
Yeah, or the sideways. So you've got acceleration in all of those directions.
I'm just
so
thinking
you've got... You're blessing yourself.
Yeah, but also, you know, that I just remember like the only time I had big boobs was when I was breastfeeding, and I do remember going for a run, and I definitely wasn't wearing the right bra, and I just remember feeling it was like a big washing machine, like literally swinging around.
And that's that triplanar movement.
Okay.
And what you experienced then was what a lot of larger breasted women experience when they try and exercise, and it's too painful, it's too embarrassing. I have known people who've gone out for a run at 11 p.m. at night because they don't want to be seen running down the road. I've known people who have run wearing cagoules, because regardless of the weather, because they don't want to be seen and catcalled, but they're still determined to run because they understand, you know, the importance of it for the rest of their lives, whether that's mental health or other physical health benefits. But that's what women experience when they try to exercise, and that's happening at teenage level. So there are teenage girls who are, like, we have a study that was done in the UK. There were 2,011 to 18-year-old girls, and within that age, nearly half of them had already stopped doing some level of sport or physical activity because of their breast weight. Wow. Nearly half of them.
And then the rest of them are stopping because of their periods.
Yeah,
you know,
or because of just self-image, and self-image is related to breast weight. And so there's so many things that we can help there, that we can influence in a positive way. What I love is having mother-daughter consultations, or sisters, or where there's a teenage girl there and they're learning from the get-go how to be able to look after themselves. And the fabulous thing is they are really engaged and really interested, and not at all embarrassed and kind of thinking, oh, I don't want to talk about boobs. They're quite the opposite. Sometimes it's the mums that are a little bit embarrassed and thinking the daughter's going to be embarrassed. It's the other way around. The girls are like, what? Yeah, this is great. And they're so enthusiastic about learning about their bodies and learning about how they can look after their bodies for the rest of their lives. And that's because we're telling them that information is available now. Whereas, I mean, I'm an older generation than you, but when we were growing up, there was no conversation about your body.